Hi guys, Cliff here. Welcome back to part 3. It's cold in here. I have the window open because I've been spraying. This is how I ended up part 2. But anyway, part 3, I'm going to start covering the tailplane and fin and rudder. So what I'm going to use, let me show you. What I'm going to use is this rather quite heavy covering material which I used on the triplane. Oratex, is it? What I'm going to do, I'm just going to tack this on. This isn't going to be a lesson on how to cover. If you want to know that, then I've got plenty of videos on my channel on covering. What I like about this particular covering is it goes dark red when it's got when it's heated, so you can sort of see where you've been. Important to tighten it equally both sides to avoid twists. How satisfying is that? So that's going to slide in there like that. It's a tight fit before I covered it, so yeah, a little bit of red paint needed in there. Okay, there we are. So that's the tailplane covered. I think the red isn't too bad a match. I offered the nose cone on as well. I haven't given the nose cone any clear lacquer yet because I want to put some white on it, so then I'll do the whole lot. But now I can pull that off and cover the fin. This is where it starts to look all solid. Brilliant. So see you back in a minute. Okay, I've just covered the fin and painted in that little faux pas which was slightly from the edge, so you won't see that now when I slide it on. This won't be noticeable. In fact, it's such a good fit, it's almost tempting, look at that, not to even glue it, but it will add a little bit of strength, so I probably will. So that's the tail end done. Didn't take much doing. So all I've got to do now is to slot the back of the fin, glue this in and cover the rudder. Oh, before I can cover the rudder, I've just got to cut a slot for the horn to go in, this H2 horn which goes onto the rudder. So I've got to probably make that and slip it in. So yeah, nice little bit of progress there. Well done, Cliff. Well done. Before I cover the rudder, I've covered the fin, but I don't know where the slots are. So before I cover the rudder, I like to put it back on like that and just mark off where the slots are. I think one is there. Just see a very small indentation there. And I'm going to slice through it like that. Like that. So I've got my 3 slots now to take the hinges. Now I can go ahead and cover this, and when that's covered I can put it back against there if I can't see the slots. Transfer the slots over back to the rudder. Hey Cliff, what a great idea. There we go, I think it's actually gluing already. Make sure you got full movement. About too big a gap. That gap looks pretty perfect, about 1 millimeter, that's fine. There we go guys, that's the rudder on. So I'm just going to have a little break from the Autogyro and make the pilot. Now I love the pilot that Richard Harris has in fact drawn. I think he looks suitably sort of scared but cool. But I'm going to cut it out of foam board, but I want to make the arms separate, so as it's got his body and then 2 arms that I can glue on separately. One up there. So I'm just going to pin prick all the way around. I'm going to pin prick a separate body, and I'm going to do the arms separately. So the body, the knees are going to come up like that, body is going to come around like that. And then I'll do the arms separately, and the arms can be let's just do them rounded like shoulders, like that. Okay, get pinning cliff. Trying to hold the knife blade upright all the time, because the temptation when you go around the bend is to tilt the blade. Ideally you want to cut the dots off, because I won't really be sanding the board. There we are. There he is. Okay, it's not too bad. Not too bad at all. I'll just sand the edges, but that'll, profile wise, that's going to look great. So let's just sit him in the cockpit, shall we? It's going to sit somewhere up there. That brings it all to scale now, doesn't it? That's great. Okay, so I've made a little seat. I've made it wider than the Pilot, just to, I think it'll, you know, look good. Pilot's cut out, ready to paint, and his arms are cut out, ready to paint. So after they're painted, I'll stick those on there, and then I'll make up a joystick. And then his bottom will drop down into this area here where I put the spacer, and it'll sort of glue in there a bit. So yeah, there we are. Nice big Pilot. Could hinge it so he waves. Don't think I'll bother, but still, there we are. I'm going to skin this with a piece of paper, by the way, cardboard. Got a piece of card cut to the, so it looks a bit wide actually. Yeah, got to make it a little bit wider than that. Oh, this is the other bit I cut anyway, so that'll go on there, skin around, and I'll cut the slot out for the fitting. Okay, see you soon. I've just started painting our Pilot, and it's going alright, and I'm just painting his hair while his trousers dry. A little tuft of hair over his ear in there like that. Obviously it's got to have a second coat yet. Being hair, you can afford to be a little bit haphazard with it. So he's coming on, guys. Certain bits here I'm not painting because I'm going to like glue the arms on and stuff, and I don't want to try and glue it to paint. There we are. That's his jacket. I've done the arms. I was thinking I may leave the collar in white. And I'm going to take that like that in a curve. Because don't have to paint an eye in because he's wearing shades. I don't know why he's flying with his mouth wide open. It's sort of like, ah, like when you're skydiving. Perhaps he's like screaming. He will be screaming. Okay, one seat done. Didn't take long. Didn't take long at all. I'm hoping that the painted edge of the foam isn't affected by the spray, so I'm going lightly just to build up. I don't know if you can see that in this light, it's drying really quick because it's such a thin layer. I think it's not reacting at all, which is great. I'm going to be a bit bolder now. Just locks the colour in. I'll do the seat now and that'll be that. Oops. I think he looks great. It's shiny now, but it's matte lacquer, so it'll go off in a minute. Just having a go at making a box engine, guys, and I'm making it basically out of paper, rolled paper tubes. I had a bit of success with making a Mercedes inline 6-cylinder engine for a First World War plane once, so paper tubes, it's the way to go. Okay, so that's my engine mount, goes on the back, and that goes over the top like that. Then there's a hole at the bottom for the motor wires to come out. Now I'm going to see if the engine goes in, the motor goes in there, plenty of air around it. But I've just cut these, made some paper tubes up for cylinders. I'm going to have a 4-cylinder engine. I know the crankcase is quite big, but it'll look the part. I've got to create some fins on this now, and I was thinking of using just cotton, give it an effect. You can actually stiffen it up fantastically just by soaking it with CA and even paper. I've got something here very similar diameter. In fact, its exact diameter is what I wrapped it around. Happens to be exactly the same as that. I had to search all my bottles to find it though. That's the bottom. I think it has potential, guys. It's getting there, so I'll do these 4 and possibly even glue them on. Before I go any further, if I'm to put some cooling fins on, I should have done that before I glue them on, but I can still do this one while it's here, and I'll do the others there. So nearly getting carried away there, wasn't I? Yeah, Cliff, you're getting carried away. So I've stuck these cylinders on, and I've just made some little exhaust pipes that sort of connect to both cylinders, and I've made some sort of rocker box covers. They're only balsa wood, but they'll paint up, so I'm just popping those on now. It's amazing what you can do with a bit of scrap stuff, really, isn't it? Probably guessed I'm no engine designer. Possibly not. When you've got bare balsa, a good way of priming it, and I've done this to the whole tube actually inside and out, is just to immerse it with CA, and it gives it a nice nice hard finish for the paint to not show the grain. It goes in there. The motor wires come out of the bottom. But what I thought I'd do is just drill some 4 little holes maybe, and put some screws in, then I can pull that off and put it on. I can mount the motor easily, screw it in properly and what have you, and this will be removable. I just love making the little bits, the details. I spend more time on these bits than I do on building the model really, but still they're the fun bits. Well, I consider the fun bits anyway. So I'll give it a quick coat of primer, and I'm going to paint the main body silver, and then I'm going to paint the cylinders a bit of black over the top of the silver probably. So anyway, and then the valve covers I thought maybe a sort of a bronzy colour. think you'll agree that the cotton has worked quite well, hasn't it, really? They look quite cylinder headish. Fins, cooling fins, you know. I've just soldered the 4 HT leads together, and I thought it would be easier to fix them into the magneto. So I'm going to try and drop some epoxy into there. Wipe some on the soldered end, so you don't have to make a good electrical contact. Lol. Let's try that then. Just thought I'd just sort of drop it in like that. Yeah, there we go. So I'll let that set, and then I can run the wires down and around the motor and into the side of the cylinders. I've just turned the leads down, made little holes, and I've got these little like spark plug covers in effect pushed in as well. So, but the leads are a little bit, they wouldn't be like that. So I'm going to tie them together with a bit of yellow cotton. Red cotton. Okay, so that's the HT leads done. Quite happy with those. Isn't it amazing how an engine looks complete with some dummy wires on it? That looks great. And it still weighs, well, nothing, it's just a piece of paper tubes, bit of cotton, bit of wire. So just got to paint the inside of that black, and I've got to paint this rim. Probably paint the inside black first, so as I can then paint this rim around the front edge as well. Okay, that's what I'll do next. There we go, guys, a little catch up. I've glued on a windshield, I'll just paint it around there, and I'm just going to put on the pilot in his final resting place, which is about there. And the whole seat is magnetised on. We'll let that set and come back to it soon, I think. Yeah, look at that. Okay guys, burning the midnight oil today. I've just masked up the nose, so now I can put some teeth on her. Both sides, of course. I think I'm going to draw the video to an end here, guys, for part 3. Haven't got on as fast as I was hoping, but here's the finished model up to now. So I've put, as in Richard's design, he's got a rather growly face on the front, so I've got a growly face. I've added the windshield. I've obviously added the pilot, as per Richard's design. And the motor, well, obviously the motor goes inside there. This is a dummy engine, which isn't glued on yet, by the way. And I've hinged the rudder, covered it, painted the undercarriage legs. So servos are in. So I've still got to connect up the servos there, and the rudder servo's got to go underneath. And I haven't even touched the rotor blades yet. But they'll be coming up soon, I guess, part 4. But I think it's starting to look seriously like an Autogyro now. Quite happy with that. Very happy, actually. So the Mantis continues with part 4. So thanks very much for watching. And if you want to have a look at the join channel button down below, take a look at that. And in the meanwhile, give us a thumbs up and leave us a comment. Cheers, guys.